explored with some of our top companies, Millsy, who it seems have avoided paying company tax.
Well, according to the ABC, they've done some investigation and they believe 1 in 5 of Australia's top companies has paid zero tax for the past 3 years. Qantas is about to clock up not its first, but its 10th year tax-free. Now, they made a lot of losses. Remember those big losses they made?
Yep.
And a lot of that would be capital losses that they can actually apply. But it still makes you wonder why they're not paying any tax. If you just want to refresh your memory, Alan Joyce received a massive bonus recently. You know how much it was?
How much?
$25 million.
He did turn that company around, though.
Yeah, but they didn't pay any tax. But he got a $25 million bonus for what?
But how many people are they employing?
Ah, well, there you go. You could argue that for any business. I could argue that. I could say Steve Mills Bookmaking hires a lot of people, and therefore I would be able to be qualified to pay no tax whatsoever.
How many people?
Ridiculous.
Tony
Greco is a senior tax advisor with the Institute of Public Accountants. Good morning to you, Tony.
Morning, gentlemen.
Do you reckon these large corporates get away with blue murder?
Well, first of all, you've got to understand that the last report relates to 15-16, and some of those companies were still recouping losses. Like you highlighted, Qantas, for example, hasn't paid tax for a while, and it's really just due to recoupment of losses. So in that particular case, back then, they still weren't paying taxes. You'd expect them to start paying taxes in the following years. So when we get the report for next year, you'd probably see that they've paid a contribution towards taxes. There's also some multinationals in there, and we know that they're up to a lot of tricks in regard to minimising their tax, and the government has addressed that. So again, as you start to see the reports being done for more current years, you will see them also paying some tax. But generally, it's recoupment of past taxes and research and development. So there are a lot of legitimate reasons why certain companies, our figures are 1 in 3 weren't paying tax, and a lot of it is also due to resource companies and the price they receive, like BHP Iron Ore, for example, back then wasn't as good as it is now. So a lot of those companies have legitimate reasons. The multinationals, a case in point where things had to be tightened up, and the government has. But yeah, there's lots, on the face of it, there's lots of reasons why people might feel suspicious about the fact that they pay tax and some of these large corporates don't.
Alan Joyce's salary was $12.9 million. The package went up to $25 million because of that massive bonus. Now, he obviously runs a tight ship now, and he's very happy with what he's doing, and good luck to him. Yes. I'm not having a crack at him individually, but I wonder how a performance like Qantas could recognise their CEO, yet we as a country get nothing out of it other than for them to claim capital losses from days gone by. As on your mining companies, it was in the old days where they would set up structures where the buying of the ore or whatever they were exporting could be done in one country, the payment made through another country, therefore no money's coming back through our country, and hence they avoid tax. Has the government done enough to close those loopholes?
It has. It has, but you won't see the impact of those changes in the past results. You will see them going forward. So in that respect, you're right. They were trying to minimise their tax imposts, absolutely. And there were loopholes, and there were the rules that were being taken advantage of. And the government has, in part, made it much more difficult. Even multinationals, even the eBays and the Amazons and the all those other multinationals, IKEAs, for example, that were using structures to minimise their tax burden, and the rules did allow them to do that. But there's been a lot of tweaking of the rules, and we expect all those multinationals now to start paying tax. But if you look at the past results, you won't see a lot of tax being paid because those rules weren't in place. So give it time, but yes, in part, that has been addressed.
I also wonder sometimes when the tax department try and close a loophole. I mean, one of the greats was his name, Klein. He was a bloke that said every Australian's duty is to avoid tax, no one's duty to evade tax. But often when the tax department try and change the Tax Act, they create it through 4 or 5 pages of alterations, which leads to other loopholes. Can you see that being an issue?
Yeah, tax is quite complex. People are invariably always looking for ways to minimise the amount of tax. That's just inherent in behavioural changes that result from trying to stop something. People will try to find ways around it. So that's why the rules have to be, or that's why the rules are complex in the first place, because people are always trying to get around them.
Right.
So, yes.
We appreciate your time, Tony, as always. Thank you. Tony Greco.
Thanks, Tony.
He's a senior tax advisor. So that's the reason why they don't pay tax. So that makes a little bit more upfront. I reckon we shouldn't reduce the corporate tax rate until we start to see those major companies paying tax. Once we see it, then let's have a look at the corporate tax rate again.